Môre, kan julle my hoor?
Ons hoor jou duidelik, dankie.
Dankie spreker.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the councillors, administration, as well as the public who are streaming live on YouTube. This would probably be our second last council meeting, so let's hope for a fruitful and a business-like event today. Before we start, I'd like to make a note that the council will, or all parties will have an opportunity to caucus the two late items. We understand that the items came in late, so please bear with us. We will have an opportunity during the course of the meeting to caucus on all those two items. I'd like to ask Councillor Fry if you'd like to open in prayer, please. Councillor Fry. He seems to be battling with his microphone. Councillor.
Speaker.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Go ahead.
Let's bow our heads. Hemelse Vader, grote en almagtige God, Here. Ek dank U vandag vir hierdie geleentheid, Here, genade tot vanmôre het ons oë oopgemaak, Here, deur U genade, Here. Dit is nie 'n moedsaak om op te staan nie, Here, want ons leef op geleende tyd. My God, ek dank U dis dat ons vanmôre ons oë oopmaak, dat ons die dagkos begin, Here, deur genade te ontvang, Here, want U genade is alleen genoeg vir ons. Vader, ek eer U dan my Here wat U groot en magtig is. Vader, ek bly dat U Heilige Gees sal verleen aan ons vandag, Here. Met een en elk van ons sal wees in die vergadering met die speaker, Here. Ek bly, Here, dat U vanmôre ons almal as leiers, Here, 'n rustige en 'n kalme gees sal gee, Here, sodat ons met die dag se besigheid kan aangaan in Jesus se naam, Here. Vader, ek bly dan dat U met ons sal wees, sodat ons die beste besluite in belang van U mense kan maak, Here, want ons dien U, Here, deur ons werk te doen, Here, en na die armes om te sien. Vader, ek bly dan dat U met ons sal wees, dat ons een sal wees in die vergadering, Here, sodat die vergadering 'n sukses kan wees. Vader, ek bid wat U seëninge op ons een en elk vandag sal rus in ons lewens, Here. In die breë gemeenskap van George, in Jesus se naam, Here. Ek vra dan nou, Here, dat U die Here, die Heilige Gees sal verleen om die vergadering self te lei, in Jesus se naam. Amen.
Thank you very much, Councillor. With that, we'll move on directly to item 2, which is the mayoral address. I'm going to hand over.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Speaker. Am I audible?
Sorry, Councillor, could you please refrain from going into the meeting has started? You are audible, thank you. There will be no mayoral address this morning, so we're going to go straight over to the roll call. And I'm going to ask that Corporate Services please do the roll call for us.
Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, everybody. Councillor Adams.
Good morning, Gaises. Goeiemôre almal. Ek is present.
Councillor Alexander. Councillor America.
Good morning, President.
Councillor Barnard.
Good morning, President.
Councillor Brown.
Morning, Rosemary, present.
Councillor Carolus.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Clark.
Present, good morning.
Councillor Cronje.
Cronje, present.
Councillor Dutwe.
Teenwoordig, dankie, Rosemary.
Councillor Esau.
Goeiemôre, teenwoordig.
Councillor Edie Vigeland.
Present and Rose.
Councillor R.G. Vigeland.
R.G. Vigeland, present.
Councillor Fry.
Hy is teenwoordig. Goeiemôre, kollegas.
Councillor Bom.
Good morning, councillors. I'm present.
Councillor Greer,
Goeiemôre, Rosemary teenwoordig.
Councillor Gultik,
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Gultig present.
Councillor Hani,
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Jansen,
Goeiemôre teenwoordig.
Councillor Jantjies,
I am. Thank you, madam.
Councillor Jay,
Goeiemôre teenwoordig.
Councillor Johnson,
Good morning, present.
Councillor Kleinhans, Alderman Kritzinger,
She has indicated her presence in the chat box.
Councillor Kruger,
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Lento,
Goeiemôre Weskaapbol, I'm present.
Councillor Losi, Councillor Lou,
Goeiemôre teenwoordig.
Councillor Mantile,
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Mbeki,
Morning, my Rosemary colleagues, I'm present.
Councillor E.T. Mdaka,
Good morning, Maros. I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor F. Mdaka, Councillor Mrukuli,
Hi, I'm here.
thank you. Councillor Mrukuli,
He applied for leave, Rose.
thank you. Councillor Nakamele,
Good morning, everyone. Present, Maros.
Councillor Neethling,
Goeiemôre, teenwoordig.
Councillor Niels,
Goeiemôre almal, Niels teenwoordig.
Councillor Tondini,
Good morning, everyone. I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor Peterson,
Goeiemôre, Rosemary teenwoordig.
Alderman Petrus, Councillor Philander,
Goeiemôre almal teenwoordig.
Councillor Katrana,
Morning, Maros. Morning, colleagues. I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor Kampi,
Present, Maros. Thank you.
Councillor Roos,
Present, Maros. Good morning, everybody.
Councillor Seifers,
Morning, Rosemary. Present.
Councillor Summers,
Good morning, present.
Councillor Smart,
Councillor Foster,
I'm
can I
present.
ask you to put your mic off, please? Thank you.
Councillor
Rosemary.
Smart,
Yes, good morning, colleagues. I'm present.
Councillor Snyman,
I am present, thank you.
Councillor Stander, Councillor Toto, Alderman van die Kerk,
Goeiemôre, Rosemary, kollegas, ek is teenwoordig.
Alderman van Wyk,
Good morning, I'm present, thank you.
Councillor von Brandes,
Present, Rosemary. Thank you.
Councillor Foster,
Goeiemôre teenwoordig.
Councillor Wissels.
I am present. Thank you, Rosemary.
Councillor Windwine.
Goeiemôre, Rosemary, present.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. I'd like to ask the council that were unable to mute themselves during the roll call to please put their presence in the chat box. Rosemary, would you please keep an eye on that for us? I'd also like to take this opportunity to wish all those family members and staff members that have had losses during the last month our condolences on behalf of the council. I believe there have been a few members that have passed away. And I'd also like to wish everybody that celebrated their birthday during October a fabulous year ahead. With that, I'd like to go on to item 4, which is the disclosure of interest by councillors, item 6 of the Code of Conduct for councillors, and disclosure of benefits by municipal staff members, item 5 of the Code of Conduct for municipal staff members. Anyone anything to declare or disclose? We have none. We'll therefore move on. The next item is the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meetings. Meeting 5.1, minutes of the ordinary e-council meeting held on the 28th of September. Could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Rosa propose.
And a seconder, please.
Councillor Safer seconds, Speaker.
Thank you very much. I believe there's a comment in the chat box, Rosemary, and I'd just like to check it out quickly. There's a declaration by Alden Kritzinger. She has an interest in item 11.3. We take note of that. Thank you very much. We therefore move on to the next item, which is questions of which notice has been given. I've received none. 7.1, minutes of the e-mail committee meeting held on the 14th of September 2023 for noting. Can we have that noted, please?
Clock note.
Thank you very much. Item 7.2, minutes of the special e-mail committee meeting held on the 21st of September 2023 for information. Could we have that noted, please?
Noted, Speaker. Councillor Mbete.
Thank you very much. We therefore move on to item 8. Item 8.1, which is reports of the mayoral committee held on the 12th of October. 8.1.1, councillors' accounts in the arrears for August 2023. And the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Clark. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. As per Section 14 of Schedule 7 of the Structures Act, a councillor may not be in arrears to the municipality for rates and services charges for a period longer than 3 months. This item then is to inform council that the credit control section monitors these accounts, and it was found that no councillor's accounts were found to be in arrears for a period longer than 3 months. It is therefore resolved to recommend to council, A, that it be noted that the debt collection measures are strictly applied to all councillors of George Municipality in terms of this section in the Structures Act, and B, that no councillors' accounts were in arrears on 31 August 2023. Thank you. I therefore propose. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Adams. You have 1 minute.
Speaker, I'd like to second the proposal as made by my colleague, Councillor Clark. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is 8.1.2, which is the final approval for the proposal from SWD Cricket to lease the Roy Rivier Rift cricket field premises at the new cricket headquarters for the Southwestern District Cricket. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Fishman. You have 3 minutes, please.
Speaker, thank you. Good morning, colleagues. As you've alluded correctly in your introduction, Speaker, this is the final approval for the proposal for SWD to lease the Roy Rivier cricket fields. Council did make an approval in principle, and we've advertised it for comments. We received 2 comments, and within the Section 80 committee, Speaker.
Sorry, councillors, could we please, Councillor Honey, your microphone is on. I'm going to ask you to switch your microphone off, Councillor Honey. Thank you, please, councillors. I'm going to ask all councillors to please be responsible for their microphones throughout this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, so in the Section 80, we've dealt with the concerns that we've received, and I therefore propose that we accept the recommendation as it is in the agenda of today's council meeting. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC. You have 2 minutes, please. Councillor, you're very soft. Can you talk up, please?
Yeah. Speaker, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. You may proceed. Your 2 minutes started.
As the ANC, we wish to concur with the recommendations made in this item. However, Speaker, we want to emphasize the fact that government must always be at the center of assisting people and facilitating this kind of discussions. We hear and we note the fact that our own internal sports and development office is going to partake in this process. And in an event, Speaker, one way to advise would just to advise to look at other government bodies as well, like your schools and other relevant partners that have got this kind of facilities, so that we can fast track this process of seeing that our people are partaking in sports. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, councillor. The next person to speak on this item is councillor, the PVI. You have 1 minute.
Good morning, Speaker. Speaker, op 'n vorige geleentheid het die PVI gesê dat ons ten gunste is van die skryf van SVD. Ons staan by daai standpunt. Ons en George het die SVD nodig om weer nuwe energie in ons plaaslike kriek te blaas. So van ons kant af is dit 'n go ahead. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. Could we have a translation, please? Mr. Paulus, could we have a translation, please? Rosemary, is there anybody to do a translation, please?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Sorry, the internet just kicked me out now. I'm gonna use Miss Rosemary's laptop. Good morning, councillors. Ukansela uthi uyangenisisa malunga nale recommendation bona abanangxaki ukubana banothi aba bantu banikwe okanye baqeshiselwe umhlaba ngeli xesha libekiweyo. Kodwa ke ze kujongwa kuzo zonke iinkalo ukubana ziyalandelwa futhi nemiqathango ibekiwe. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next party to speak on this item is the EFF. Councillor, do you have 1 minute?
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning. We as the EFF, we support the recommendation as they display. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Speaker. You're very excited about this item. I think it provides great opportunity for George and all its citizens. And this very much speaks to us taking sport to the next level in our city. So I'll second the recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, councillors. The item therefore carries. We're going to move on to item 8.1.3, the in principle approval of the leasing of the vacated post office building in Puckelsdorp, located on the portion of the remainder of ERF 325 Puckelsdorp, as well as the leasing of a portion of ERF 7951 Rosedale for the Department of Health. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Stander. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to address Council on item 8.1.3 of today's agenda. The most important aspects of this agreement are contained in the terms and conditions as explained in the recommendation on pages 74 and 75 of the agenda. I would like to draw Council's attention to the most relevant points within the recommendation, namely, A, recommendation resolved to recommend to Council A, that it be noted that the Regulation 36 of the Municipal Asset Transfer Regulations listed in the report and confirms that the factors listed have been taken into account in considering the proposed transaction. And then C, Speaker, that the leasing of the post office building located at a portion of the remainder of 3 to 5 Pakkersdorp and the portion of Earth 7951 Rosedale for the to the department at a monthly gross rental rate of 1,816 rand 25 cents per month, excluding VAT, approved. Then move to E, the proposed leasing of the post office building located on a portion of the remainder of 3 to 5 Pakkersdorp and the portion of Earth 7951 Rosedale be advertised for counter offers and for public comments and representations. F, that the leasing of the land is subject to that no counter proposals are received for the proposed leasing of the land for this purpose. G, that the approval be considered as a final approval should no counter proposals for this proposed be received. And H, that this approval is subject thereto that all administrative, technical, legal requirements are adhered to by the applicant. Speaker, subject to no further debate thereof, I propose this recommendation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC. You have 2 minutes. Councillor Mankwele.
Okay, mandibulise Speaker. Ndibulise ke ne-councillor zonke se-counselling eziko teams yonke le nto. CNC thina sithi into esizawuqala siyikhokhelise phambili kukuba siyacela kujongwe kwindawo zonke i-distance ephakathi kwekliniki ezikhoyo apha eGeorge, especially kwindawo ezinjengezi Thembalethu nezone esikuzo zone 1, 2 and 6. Sijonge i-distance ephakathi kwekliniki ezikhoyo ngoba nakwendawo esihlala kuzo zikhona open spaces ezifanele uba noko singafumana i-temporal clinic ezinokwazi bazinceda abantu. Umzekelo ikhona ke nakulaa ward yaseward 21 eThembalethu indawo ekwatsha kuyiholo, nayo besinayo ukuthi siyafuna ukuthi abantu bancedwe phaya. So siyayixhasa le item, but siyafuna kuqwalasela nakwezinye indawo, ingajongi only indawo eyi-1 because abantu bakuthi bayasokola kwezi clinic because i-service yeclinic iphuwa kakhulu for abantu bakuthi. Bahlala imini yonke bengancedwa beyothatha i-treatment zabo. So sithi siyayisapota but mayiqhubekeke kujongwe nakwezinye indawo because zikhona indawo nakwezi wadi zethu sihlala kuzo. So siyabulela si-ANC sithi makuzama uqhubeke kwenze uphuhliso because into esifuna ukuba uphuhliso luze ebantwini. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. Could we have the translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Says greetings to all councillors. We as the ANC we say please please look at all the spaces and the distance that are between the residential areas and the clinics in George area at large. It says especially in our Thembalethu areas, especially zone 1 up to zone 6, the distance when it comes to the clinic and with the residential areas, let that be noted and please be looked at because this says there are spaces in our residential
areas that can be used as space for clinic, that can be used maybe for mobile clinic, where our people cannot travel such long distance in order for them to get assistance. We are in support of this item, but we say please look at other areas as well. Please do not look at certain areas, but look at our areas as well. If there are spaces that can be used, let them be used so that our people cannot travel so long. So we are in support of service delivery, and let there be service delivery in our areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Jay. You have 1 minute.
Speaker, baie dankie. Speaker, wanneer dit kom tot voordeel van ons gemeenskappe en tot dienslewering van ons gemeenskappe, is ek 'n voorstander. En luckily, Speaker, baie dankie dat die George munisipaliteit die geleentheid gee om hierdie plekkie uit te huur aan die departement van gesondheid tot voordeel van ons gemeenskap. En dus sekondeer ek die voorstel van my kollega. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus,
Thank you,
please.
Speaker. Uthi ke xa kufikelwa kwi-service delivery okanye ukuhanjiswa kwenkonzo, yena ungumuntu oma ngaphambili ofuna uqinisekisa into yokuba iinkonzo ziyasiwa ebantwini bazo. Ngoko ke uyambulela umasipala waseGeorge othe wabona into yobana makaqashise esi sithuba ukwenzela uba kuzoncedakala abantu bakuthi. Ngoko ke uyayisiphasa ke lo mba ubekiweyo apha. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. Sorry, thank you very much. The item therefore carries. We'll move on to the next section, item 9, which is the minutes of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, impact for information. We have a noting on that, please.
Barnard will note for you, Speaker.
The toy second, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The item 10, reports to Municipal Public Accounts Committee, impact. Could we have somebody to note that, please?
The toy note, Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Barnard will second.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 11, councillors, and that is item 11 is reports to council. And the first report is the tabling of the adjustment budget 2023-24 by the Executive Mayor. Alderman, you may carry on.
Thank you, Speaker. Morning all. It is with pleasure that I'm tabling this adjustment budget in terms of the municipal budget and reporting regulations. And this relates to a transfer of funding that we have received from the Garden District Municipality in respect of community safety plan initiatives, and amounting to 155,000. And I'm sure my colleagues will deal with the matter in greater detail. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Executive Mayor, the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessel. She has 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, Speaker, this adjustment budget speaks to what we have council has been working on for quite some time, and that's ensuring everyone that safety takes priority to George and all its citizens. This adjustment budget, or the items within this adjustment budget, speaks to 155,000 rand, all related to safety measures for our citizens. The one is the equipment for neighborhood watches, and then it also speaks to consulted community plans, implementation plans through various workshops with our communities, as well as the training of mediators in crime and violence prevention. We've always said that safety takes a huge priority for us as a government and as a council, and this is just proof that we are doing this. So we thank the Garden Route for the funding, and I'll propose the recommendation as per the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this is the ANC. You have 4 minutes.
Good morning, Speaker and the fellow councillors. we as the
Sorry,
ANC,
Councillor, did the correction. Sorry, Councillor, I was looking at the wrong one. You have 2 minutes, not 4 minutes. I apologize for the interruption. Your time restarts now, sorry.
2 minutes. Okay, good morning, Speaker. We welcome the donation of 155,000 rand that was coming from the district municipality. We, as the ANC, we said thank you so much for the donation of 155,000 rand. And then also we noticed that there's 110,000 rand that was earmarked for the safety plan. What we want to know as the ANC, what the community is going to benefit out of this. And then also I noticed here there's a 25,000 rand that is allocated for the neighborhood watch. In my report, there's only 6 people that they receive only the jackets from the neighborhood, from Tembale to this neighborhood watch is a whole Tembale to is a whole George, also is only for a specific area. And then the safety plan. Sorry. And then okunye ilantu kwale i-safety plan lena kuthethwa ngayo apha ingaba izitheni plans zayo kulo lento edibanisana nale safety plan. What plans ezikhoyo ezakwenza ntoni kule mali kuthethwa ngayo apha? Ndiyabulela.
Mr. Paulus, could you translate the last portion, please?
Thank you, Speaker. You said in this safety plan, what are their plans? What do you initially plan to do in the budget when it comes to this safety plan? What is the purpose of it?
Thank you very much, councillors. Unfortunately, the item revolves around accepting the adjustment budget, and we've received no questions prior to the time, and all those questions can be answered after the meeting. Thank you. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Peterson. You have 1 minute, please.
Good morning, Speaker. We are thankful for this 155,000 rand that was donated for the community safety program. I want to echo the sentiments of my ANC comrade, who is worried about the huge amount that is spent on the plan and the implementation of the plan. We hope that the people who actually need this money, like the neighborhood watchers, that they will receive the money for the equipment, or that the equipment is brought to them, because they have to work in dire situations to see to the safety of our people. The amount of money that is spent on the plan will not mean that they can do their job better at the end of the day. The only thing that will allow them to do their job better at the end of the day, if they are equipped with the necessary equipment to go out and to protect our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. We move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Philander. You have 1 minute.
Baie dankie, Speaker. Ja, ons is ook dankbaar aan die Gardenwood munisipaliteit vir die donasie van 155,000 rand. Speaker, in die George omgewing is daar plus minus 15 geakkrediteerde buurtwagte, waarvan meer as die helfte moet misdaad bekamp sonder voldoende equipment. Hierdie buurtwagte bekamp misdaad in dele van die George omgewing waar daar erge misdaad is. En hulle doen dit sonder die hulp van law enforcement, wat net sekere dele van George beveilig en in ander sekere dele van George, sonder die hulp van die polisie. Onder andere Pakkelsdorp, waar daar polisiebeamptes is nie. Goed sal hierdie manne en vroue vir hulle opofferinge, wat hierdie vrywillige diens doen. Hierdie budget allokeer 25,000 vir equipment vir buurtwagte, wat eintlik 'n klap in die gesig is. As ons kyk na die hoeveelheid geakkrediteerde buurtwagte daar in George is, wat hierdie budget ook nie van melding maak nie, is waar
en vir watter buurtwagte die equipment voorsien gaan word. Goed voordat dat daar weer na hierdie budget moet gekyk word. En dat daar opname gemaak moet word en hoeveel en wat ons buurtwagte regtig nodig het. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you. Dankie.
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi bona beyi-good bayabulela kakhulu malunga nale donation 155,000. Uthi ke ngokubona uthi ba more than 15 abantu abazi-neighborhood watches aba-accredited for ukwenza lo msebenzi, abasebenza bengenazo izixhobo zokuthi basebenze kakuhle. Uthi abajongene neemeko ezi-dangerous kakhulu, abajongene nabantu abaphula umthetho, abaqhobileyo, bona bengenancedo lisuka kumapolisa okanye kwi-law enforcement, bayazenzela lo msebenzi bengenazixhobo ezinjalo. Uthi kodwa ke noko kukubethwa ebusweni into yobana kuthiwe kubekwa bucala i-25,000 malunga nesixhobo zabo aba bantu benza lo msebenzi u-dangerous kangaka. Futhi ke uthi awucaciswanga apha into yokubana zeziphi iingingqi futhi zeziphi ezi-neighborhood ngabanintsi aba bantu. Futhi ke le 25,000 izawuthenga ziphi izixhobo na ukwenzela ukujonga into yobana abantu bakhuselekile futhi bayawenza lo msebenzi. Futhi ke uyakuxelela into yobana apha kuhlahlo lwabemali mazijongwe ezo zinto, kujongwe into yokubana abantu banikwa izixhobo ezizizo, futhi ke kucalulwe into yokubana izixhobo ezingakanani zenzelwe iingingqi ezingakanani ukwenzela uba wonke umntu azocacelwa. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next party to speak on this item is the EFF. Councillor Camille, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Greetings once again. We as EFF, Mr. Speaker, we are grateful for a donation from the district. But we want to put our dissatisfaction as EFF when it comes to this adjustment budget. When we talk of 155,000 adjustment, which is going to benefit community safety, we are just concerned with the consultant community plan, which does not clearly state what is exactly this safety plan is, which items cost 110,000. Your 25,000 for Neighborhood Watch, what items did the Neighborhood Watch have received, and what those items are their price tags? That must be provided as to what it is. Your 20,000 for a mediator. Mr. Speaker, we want to state as EFF, as Section 215 of the Constitution, state clearly that the timing and content of the national and provincial budget and the reporting requirement that will promote greater transparency in the implementation of the budget. The transparency, Mr. Speaker, is in terms of Constitution, Section 250. It must state clearly this adjustment budget. Where does this money goes to? What items are going to be?
Sorry, Councillor, there's somebody interrupting you. I can't see whose microphone is unmuted. Could we just continue, please, without the other microphones?
Now we are pleading with the municipality to clearly state where does this money is going to. Not only stating that is the safety plan, the cost of safety plan is 110. We want to know what safety plan is and what is going to be done when it comes to that adjustment budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is up. Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor van Branders. And then I have a hand from the MMC who will talk after the finalization of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. It is really great to note that we've received this 155,000 grant funding towards our community safety. As they say, Rome was not built in a day, and with this, we are starting to work towards a safer city, one step at a time. With that, I second the recommendation by my colleague. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. In accordance with the rules, I'm going to allow the MMC to give clarity on the item or the budget. I'm going to give you a few minutes, 2 minutes just to finalize it, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just maybe want to contextualize some of the comments that was made. So in the annexure, we can see that there is a contract between the Gordon District Municipality and George Municipality. Point number 2 in that stipulates exactly what the funds is to be used for, and in the way that this funds will be transferred. To further maybe speak to in terms of transparency, point number 9 in that clearly states that George must provide the district municipality with a report on the actual expenditure against the transfer of funds before or on the 31st of December 2023. So these type of grants and allocations that we receive from whether it's province or Gordon Route or district or national clearly states to the municipality on what we are allowed to spend these funds on. So this is not a question of we deciding on how we spend the funds. It is a contractual obligation, and we work according to that. Hence, we say, and I agree with my fellow councillor von Brandes, Rome wasn't built in a day. This is a very good start, and we'll implement these 3 items, and we'll then work from there and ensure that we get a safe, clean, and green city. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. We're going to move on to the next item, which is the tabling of the quarterly budget monitoring report by the Executive Mayor. Alderman, you may continue.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, indeed, we have now completed the first quarter of financial 23-24, and this is the first quarter's report that is before us today. That is that I'm according to that, I'm then tabling this report. What is always clear in the first quarter is really the startup of the new financial year, and then one will always notice the trend as capital expenditure needs to pick up. And we have a stiff target this year of 1,426 million rand in terms of capital expenditure. Council will note that to date, we've had actual spending of 117 million against a plan of 142 million. But further, there are, in terms of orders and shadows, there is a further 150 million that has already been activated in effect in terms of the capital expenditure. So it is very pleasing to note this. If we turn to our operating revenue, it is also pleasing to note that our electricity revenue is a little bit above what we had budgeted. And the difficulty that we had in going into preparing this budget was the large scale uncertainty that we had with due to load shedding. And I think, as everyone will be aware, we've had a relatively cold and wet winter, which no doubt has promoted the purchase of additional electricity. So I believe that we hope that trend will continue through the year. We also note that from our debtors, that our debtors are at 455 million rand, of which 257 million rand is above 90 days. Finance has also been undertaking a very active role in terms of debt collection to work towards achieving a much better collection rate, and the collection rate for the first quarter is 91.5%. So we certainly wish to make sure that that 91.5% can increase to at least the 95%, which is the required level that we need to achieve. Further, I would just like to comment that the overtime figures are reflected for the first quarter. And I think as council will be aware, we've had a number of weather-related incidents, even as far as recent as last weekend, where many of our teams have been out at work doing excellent work in terms of dealing with the problems related from weather, and we've seen a fair amount of those incidents over the last month to 6 weeks. So in due course, we will see the work that was done there being reflected in overtime, which, some of the overtime that was undertaken this month will only be paid during November. We also wish to thank our teams, our entire management team, and our entire complement of staff who have been extremely diligent in doing the work that they have done, and no doubt working very long hours. It is also noteworthy that the Census 22's results have been published, and George's population is now reflected at 294,929 as of February 22, which is probably a little bit higher than what we had anticipated that the population census would come out. And I'm certainly aware that our management team is already meeting and undertaking work to revise any of our strategies and to review and to recalibrate what our targets need to be and the work that we need to undertake in the coming years to be able to service our entire population. So, as I've mentioned, I've hereby table this quarterly report, and my colleagues will no doubt comment further on the financial figures before us. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman. The next person to speak on this item, or the first person to speak on this item, would be Councillor Wessels. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and thanks to the Mayor for the thorough report on the quarterly performance. Speaker, I think it's important to note with regards to performance for the first quarter that from the 40 KPIs, there was no KPIs target that falls within this first quarter, and that is as we start preparing and getting our expenditure right for into this year. We can already see that there's certain aspects that has achieved above expectation and outstanding performances, and for that I really want to thank the administration. A lot of the projects are fairly new and fairly groundbreaking projects, especially in the civil and in the electrotechnical departments, and we can only but applaud those two directorates for the work that they are doing, chipping off at this immense budget that we are currently operating. We can already see that bearing fruit, as we can see that there's a substantial amount of capital projects that is currently in shadow and in order. To the finance department, we can see that our collection of revenue is starting to increase, and we can see the systems are starting to take shape and take action there as well. So overall, Speaker, with regard to the monitoring, I would really like to thank Dr. Gratz and the whole team and all the administration of George Municipality. We can really see the difference, and as we are moving into this year, we've got the biggest budget ever, that we really can see exceptional services to the George citizens. With that, Speaker, I would like to propose the recommendation, and again, thanks to the administration.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Honey. You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Moholo Speaker. Olweni. Okay.
I tell
Okay. Le ngxelo ibonisa ukusebenza kwemali kwikota yokuqala yalo nyaka. Into leyo eyalathayo kuba ukuza kuthi ga ngoku phantse kwintsebenziswano kuzo zonke iinkalo. Ngokupheleleyo ke kwingcaciso enkulu siphantse sibe ngaphantsi kwe-25%. So loo nto ukuthi ngothi kumgca obomvu kakhulu. Umfanekiso obonisa ukuthi ingeniso yethu yonke. Le report kameya siyayiva ngebudget yakhe but le nto asiyiboni kwii-area zethu. Ubuya jonga kwii-area zethu akho nto yenzekayo. Into yenzeka only edolophini kwii-area zabantu abamhlophe. Kwii-area zabantu abadisadvantage asiboni into, asiboni umehluko. Sibona inkukuma ubumdaka. Sibona indawo elungiswayo is only iNgcakani Road eThembalethu because of uGoldwater ezawungena phaa. Otherwise zonke ii-area zethu akho nto yenziwayo. Ibhajethi neemiliyoni ezispendwayo zispenda all kwicala abantu abamhlophe. Buya koomaConville, iConville imdaka kakhulu, akho zitrato naseBotchas. IBotchas uyane west kwii-area zethu zabantu abadisadvantage. So asiyiboni ke le budget but singumbutho omkhulu kaKhongolose sicebe ukuthi sake senze i-road show sijikele kuzo zonke ii-area zethu zabantu abadisadvantage jonga ukuthi ingaba le budget ispendwe ngendlela eyiyo na. Enkosi.
Translation, please, Mr. Paulus.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, we see this report. This report shows actually the first quarter and the work that has been done in the first quarter of the annual report. Up to now, we see the expenditure that has been spent is actually we are below 25%, which shows a red line. We see in this report, as the mayor has already tabled it in front of us, that the development or the work is actually being done in town, in most the white areas. In our disadvantaged areas, actually there are no developments that are currently taking place that shows as shown in this budget. So we have a query regarding to that, because in Thembalethu there's only Ngcakani Road that is actually being worked or developed only because of the Go George buses that has to operate. That is why the development in Ngcakani Road. Otherwise, when you go to other areas, be your Conville, your Borchers is actually the worst in our development, in our disadvantaged areas. That is actually neglected and very dirty. So we do not see as to where the budget is for such disadvantaged areas. We are, as the ANC, actually planning a roadshow to actually see that this work as stipulated in this report is actually being done into other communities as well in George at large, not concentrating on certain areas of George. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is the PBI. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning, Speaker. The Mayor tabled the budget report, and already there is some things that is concerning. There's less 17% spent on capex, less 4% on operating income, and about 5% is over on the operating expenditure. Then there is 400 million rand in grants received, of which only 50 million rand has been spent, and we are already 4 months into the new financial year. The question now is, will this money be spent by year end? We also hope that the grants received for the alleviation of load shedding will be spent and that the community will benefit from this. This money was rolled over from the last budget. We hope that this will be spent by the next financial year. Bad debts, there should be an effort to be made to alleviate the plight of the poor. The process for indigent applications is too long and tedious. Documentation required for approval makes it difficult for people to adhere. The investments, we've got investments of over 400 million, yet no alleviation can be given to the poorest of the poor, who are suffering due to higher tariffs and who do not qualify for indigent subsidies. 2 of your MMCs now said Rome was not built in a day. That is correct, but you are in charge from 2000 and surely the safest city and smartest city that did not start now. And surely you could have put the building blocks in place to build Rome from day one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the Good Party. Councillor Lowe, you have 2 minutes.
Baie dankie Speaker. Speaker, oor die tyd en afjou mic man. Sorry Speaker. Oor die tyd in George hou goed al 'n geruime tyd die begroting dop en kom tot 'n gevolgtrekking dat dit in die goeie areas gespandeer word en nie in areas waar dit nodig is nie. Soos byvoorbeeld soos my kollega ANC kollega gesê het, in Potchefstroom is die mees geaffekteerde area in George en ons werklik syfer is baie hoog en ons paaie en hoe ons gemeenskap in Potchefstroom lewe is regtig 'n skande. Ons spandeer hierdie budget waar dit brood nodig is nie. Potchefstroom, ons gemeenskap sukkel om kop bo water daar te hou. Maar Speaker, ons as goed hou die begroting al 'n geruime tyd dop en ons gaan voort om dit dop te hou. Baie dankie.
Paulis.
Dankie Speaker. Uthi thina sijongile kakhulu le ndaba yale budget. Uthi futhi sekulixesha sijongile le budget nendlela esetyenziswa ngayo. Uthi ke njengoba besetshile ucolleague wami we-ANC uba le budget isetyenziswa kwiingingqi ezi-developed already okanye sele ziphuhlisiwe. Uthi iingingqi ezifana nomaBotjas apho abantu abethu abangathathi ntweni azide ziphuculwe iingingqi ezinje. Uthi bayasokola kakhulu abantu baseBotjas. Uthi ke neendlela abantu okanye indlela ezikhoyo phayana eBotjas ezifuna ulungiswa, into ezinjalo azijongwa futhi nendlela abantu abaphila kuyo okanye iimeko abantu abaphila phantsi kwazo azijongwanga. Uthi ke isetyenziswa kakhulu le budget kwiindawo okanye kwiingingqi apho ezingadingi kuphuculwa khona. Uthi ke sizayibeka elisweni, sizayijonga le ndaba yolu hlahlobo lwabiwomali into yobana lwabiwa njani na futhi ke kwabethu abantu bayabhenefitha na. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is the EFF. Councillor Kamile, you have 1 minute.
Enkosi Mr Speaker. Ixesha hayi liyasisuppressa mpela sawuphela sithetha amashwamshwam. Thina Mr Speaker siyayibona yona le ilantuza quarterly budget report. Which is ayigxilanga kakhulu kubantu bakuthi ezike nezinye izithethi sezithethile apha ngaphambili. Ubuhle bayo bubuhle kwicala likamasipala nasecollecting irevenue kubantu bakuthi ke especially kwicala lombane sebethethile ke ogxabama apha bayicacisa ukuthi umasipala into ayivuyelayo ngokukwenza imali and icollection yerevenue yakhe I think utriplishile nakuneminyaka ke egqithileyo. Loo nto leyo ibangela abantu bakuthi ke ii-services bangazifumani ngendlela eyiyo. Hey, yiloo nto ke kugcwala ke nakomasipala, kugcwale emaholweni, kugcwale ngaphakathi kumasipala ngenxeni yendlela umasipala ayicollecta ngayo irevenue kubantu bakuthi abahlelelekileyo. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mr. Paulis.
Thank you, Speaker. We as the EFF, we see the quarterly budget report, and yes, as already all our previous speakers have alluded, it seems like this budget is not concentrating on our people, our disadvantaged areas and our disadvantaged people. It seems like only the municipalities now concentrating on its income revenue and on collecting revenue to our people, because hence you see it's very full even in the halls, even downstairs when you check, it's always filled because our people are suffering, and it seems like the municipality is actually enjoying the income that is coming from collecting the revenue from our people. And I think now the municipality have already tripled their income this year because of such collections. So that is what I'm saying, that our people are not being taken into consideration and our people are suffering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is the Councillor van Brandes. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. As explained by Councillor Wessels, although it states we are below our SDPIP expenditure, If we take an example and we look at our biggest budget department, which is civil, we'll see over 100 million has been spent with a variance of 90 million on the STPIP. But if we look at the orders placed, it's over 44 million. So if we add that together, we can see that our capital expenditure is actually going very well. If we look at capital projects, it's all over, George. It's not only for a selected few. If we look at the new water reservoirs and pump station that is coming up in Thembalethu and Pakkelsdorp in this financial year still, with the planning already done and the tenders out. If we look at some of the other projects, which is Cornwall, is huge stormwater infrastructure that's still taking place there. If we look at Borchards that was mentioned, we'll see the high mast light was put up, and of course the huge pump station that's being updated there as well. And this is only to mention a few projects. So as you can hear, the capital expenditure for us is for all the people. And with that said, I would like to second the recommendation by my colleague. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. That item therefore carries. We therefore move on to the next item, item 11.3. The investigation as contemplated in item 15 read with 16 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors, Schedule 7 to the Local Government Municipal Structures Amendment Act number 3 of 2021, alleged breach of Code of Conduct by Elder Lady Kritzinger. Councillors, I have to remind you that this item has to end and the fact remains that we can only talk about the item and not the merits of the item. So I'm going to ask that we bear that in mind, as everything said here may or may not influence the going forward. I therefore ask the first person to speak on the item is Councillor Johnson. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to propose that Council accept the recommendations A to D with the amended C, and I've typed just in the chat box, and that will include the names of the disciplinary committee, and it will be as follow. The chairperson will be Alderman van die Kerk, Councillor Neethling, Councillor Barnard, Councillor Eso, Councillor Camille, and the secundi will be Councillor Suffers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC. Councillor F. Mdaka, you have 2 minutes. ANC, your time has started. Please continue.
Hello. Uyandiza Speaker?
I can hear you.
Speaker, uqalile ke ngusixelela uba masithini. Siyazibona i-recommendation bazithini. Cha, yohlukana nale nto niyenzayo. Ukuba nodwa kulo DA yenu, nithathe imlo wenu nizowuzisa apha. Niyasimosha i-administration yethu niyenza ibe xeke ngenxa yamilo yenu. Siyayiva i-recommendation le irayithi, kanilibele kukulwa. Council takes note the accept outcome and the investigation is full set. Council resolve what. Siyayiva yonke laa nto yohlukana nemilo yenu. Ngoba omnye ufuna eParliament, omnye uthi makangayilo. Kudala umleqa futhi lo mama, kha isifuni. If thina siyi-ANC yasiyo-DA lwani phaa kude noba nonke sanuzole lapha ekhansileni yothani into zo-Facebook nizisa apha ngoku ayisuka mani Speaker. Enkosi. Hayi ndithini ngokukhera.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor. Can we have the translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. The council says we take note and we see the recommendations and we see what the recommendations say. But what we want to say is stop bringing your DA fights to council, because this is your internal fights. Now you are bringing it to council. Now you are bringing it for the administration. You are messing up administration. And you've been having a problem with this woman for such a long time. But that is your DA fights. It has nothing to do with us, because you are fighting over parliament seats, and we know it's internal fights, but that has got nothing to do with us. You are bringing your Facebook fights, you are bringing it into council. But yes, we see the recommendations, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Carolus. You have 2 minutes.
Ja, speaker, dankie. Speaker, die PBI verwelkom hierdie ondersoek. So ons stel volmondig aan dat daar so ondersoek moet wees. Hierdie voorval was 'n baie ernstige aanval op die karakter van 'n ander godgeskape mens. Meneer Fredericks, as 'n
Councillor Carolus, I do not want you to discuss anything about the item other than the recommendation. We cannot go into the merits. We cannot name names. That is not our job today. Our job is to recommend the item as it is in the thing.
But the time is moving, Speaker. The clock is still moving.
Councillor,
En ek sê ek het vir jou klaar gesê, hou op, moenie vir ons sê dat ons moet sê nie.
Councillor Ndaka, I'm talking to Councillor Carolus. Please stay on the item and not the merits of the item. Thank you.
Ja, speaker, ons bly by ons stelling dat ons verwelkom hierdie ondersoek. Hierdie voorval op Facebook is 'n baie ernstige aantasting van 'n ander mens se karakter. Hierdie was ook nie die eerste voorval waarin hierdie spesifieke persoon betrokke was nie of is nie. En
Speaker, sorry, I have to interrupt you. I know it's against the rules, but we cannot allow this.
Councillors,
Why are you allowing him to speak, but you don't want us to speak?
Councillor Ndaka, I have not addressed you. Councillor Ndaka, please do not interrupt me. You have a tendency to do this, and I'm not going to accept it. There's an objection to the fact I've said to Councillor Carolus to please stay on the item. You cannot, you may not mention anything about the person or the persons involved, as it is it is this item for investigation. You may not express your views or anything regarding the actual complaint. I'm going to ask you again. My ruling is stay on the item. You cannot mention previous accounts or anything. It is against the rules and regulations and the code of conduct. We cannot discuss the merits of the item. Councillor Ndaka, I have said what I have got to say, and I'm not going to allow any further debate on this. I've asked Councillor Carolus to stay on the item.
So you are not going to allow me to speak?
Councillor Ndaka, I'm going to give you your first warning. I've given you 3 times that I've asked you to please not interrupt. 3 times I've asked you not to interrupt. I'm going to give you your first warning on breach of code of conduct for the simple fact that you disregard any instructions 2.8.2.7 and you are continuing to disrupt the meeting. Thank you. Councillor Carolus, you may continue with the item, please.
Ja, speaker, ek het die name genoem nie. Ek gaan weer herhaal dat ons verwelkom hierdie ondersoek en ons is ook geneig om met die ANC saam te stem oor hierdie voorval. Ons moet ons mense vermaan nie deel te neem aan karakterskending op Facebook en ander mense se karakter te skend nie. So ons hoop dat daar iets positief uit hierdie ondersoek sal kom en dat die mense wat deur hierdie voorval benadeel was weer of dat die mense wat hierdie voorval veroorsaak het tot orde geroep sal word en dat daar weer vrede sal wees in ons gemeenskappe. Dankie, Speaker.
Have a translation, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi bona beyi-PBI welcome okanye bayayamkela le investigation malunga nalo mba okanye isiganeko esiye senzekayo. Uthi ke bayangqinelana ke bona nento ebithethwe yi-ANC into yokubana abantu ke funeka bayanqanda bona ukuba ababo abantu bangabandakanyeki kwizinto ezinukuneza i-character yomntu nezinto ezibhalwa ngomntu kwi-Facebook. Uthi ke esi bisesinye siziganeko apho bekunikunezwa i-character yomntu futhi ke ibonwe ngumuntu wonke loo nto leyo. Uthi ke sizazijonga ngeliso elibukhali iziphumo ezizawuthi ziphume kule komiti izawuthi okanye kule komiti iqulunqiweyo kuzawujongwa uba zithini. Kodwa ke uthi siyajonga into yokubana noko bade baxolelane ukwenzela uba sizokwazi ukusebenzisana kakuhle noluntu, ngoba abantu phandle bajonge ukuthi into yokubana sikwazi ukubanika iinkonzo ezizizo. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is the PA, Councillor Alexander. PA, I believe that there is a problem with Councillor Alexander's microphone. Councillor Smart.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. We are noting this item on the agenda, and we support further investigation because we believe in fair processes. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Suffers. You have 1 minute, please.
Speaker, I second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor Brown. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This item therefore carries, and we'll move on to item 11.4, investigation into alleged breach of code of conduct for councillors. Councillor Clark. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Alderman van Niekerk, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I believe that this item is self-explanatory. A recommendation is on page 174. That council take note and accept the outcome of an investigation fully set out and actually see attached to the report. The council resolved not to proceed with disciplinary action against Councillor Clark on the reported alleged breach based on the recommendation of Annex C, and note that the parties resolved the matter successfully through mediation and that the outcome of the investigation be reported to the MEC for local government. I so propose.
Thank you very much, Alderman. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Ephraim Darker. You have 2 minutes, please.
It's more, Speaker, I'm back. I've got 2 minutes. It's 1. I shame. Ayifani lento. Pha phezulu kwenziwa investigation. Apha kodwa cases ziyafana because nalo umama apha be-rude wenze laa nto ifana leyo yenziwe ndluni. Kutheni ingafani le nto yenu? Theni ingafani? Theni nesheyi? Nikhethe amaqala ndinixelela uba niyalwa. Nilwela iinto zenu. Nibuye nizozifaka apha. Kuthiwa ngoku mayingayi kwi-disciplinary action uClark. Akugqiba uCouncillor Clark enze into erongo efana nale yenziwe ngumama uKritzinga. Animvumeli yena ahlale umama uKritzinga. Niyamsa ku-MEC. Lona nimthandayo niyamthatha yena nithi kuye makangasiwa kwi-disciplinary action. Hey, kumnandi apha makhulu uKritzinga. Uyawuthi shu. Kodwa ke akho nto, qhubani Speaker, nto niyiqhubayo yezinto zenu ze-DA kakade. Akho nto isifunayo, qhubani. Loo nto niyiqhubayo. Asingeni ndawo, ngeyenu. Nabethana ayifuni thina. Kodwa yona nto esiyigatyayo kule nto yenu, yinto yokubana ezi case zibufana ncamashi. Aba bantu bobabili bophule umthetho okhoyo kwi-MFA, bawophulile. I-code of conduct yaba bantu bobabili bayophulile, kodwa omnye utreatwa ngenye indlela, omnye utreatwa ngenye indlela, ngoba kaloku omnye mhlawumbi kwenye i-faction kabani, omnye kwenye i-faction kabani. Andizo ungathethi ke sana ndisene 20 seconds left. So ke akho nto itheni, qhubani ke, bye-bye.
Mr. Paulus.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, now this investigation is going to the top. You say that actually these are similar cases. But now you choose that this one should not be investigated further. But these are actually similar cases with the previous case. Now, it seems like the sides and you are not doing this or taking this fairly, because if it's similar cases, because I believe that they did the same offense, but one is taken to the MEC and one is not taken there. So I do not know what is going on there. As I've already said, that it seems like there's a DA fighting amongst each other, but it's anyway DA business. It has nothing to do with us, but because it is brought under our attention, we see that these cases are not being treated the same, because if both of them have breached the code of conduct, then it means that their cases should be treated the same. If both of them, they need to be investigated, and that their cases should be taken to the MEC. But because it seems like there's groups, the other one belongs to this group, the other one belongs to this group, now there are sides that has to be taken, because one is the favorite and shame other one is not a favorite. But we see that there's discrepancies because cases are not being treated the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Napolis. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Tampi. You have 1 minute.
Enkosi Speaker, andiqale ngelithi Speaker ngaqhuma kubaseni. And ke Speaker, we see the recommendation, we as the EFF, but it is quite clear that women are the people who lead by emotions. And where there are emotions, there is a cause for those reactions. So at some point, this is bigger than us, and this is more than what is portrayed in front of us. But we see and we will watch, because we stated very clear that 1994 is our 2024. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Neethling, please. You have 1 minute.
I second the proposal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is item 11.5, the quarterly report of the Audit Committee for the first quarter, which ended on the 30th of September 2023. To Council, the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 3 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Speaker. So this item is the quarterly report of the Audit Committee for 23-24, and that is at the end of the first quarter. So Council will note that this is a standard item that we usually receive at the end of each quarter, where we get feedback from the Audit Committee. We'll see that with regards to the accounting policies, that no serious concerns relating the accounting policies were brought to the committee's attention, and that no material concerns were brought to the Audit Committee with regards to the Auditor General. That can be found on page 189. So in terms of effective governance, the Audit Committee feels and has considered governance-related areas and concluded that there are no material matters of concern, and also no material concerns regarding any of the compliance matters. If we go to the concluding remarks, the committee is pleased with the continuous progress that is being made by George Municipality in improving the overall governance, internal control and risk management from administration. And with that, I would like to propose the recommendation. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Yesu. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Speaker, for allowing me to address Council. Speaker, the report of the Audit Committee makes mention that recommendations were made as the ANC. We ask that the Audit Committee keep a close eye on this and monitor the process of implementation thereof. The Audit Committee also highlight the concern of electricity revenue and low expenditure As the ANC, we ask that the accounting officer keep a finger on the pulse, specifically on the issue of low capital expenditure because of expenditure targets not met. Speaker, as the ANC, we want to know what the reason is for non-performance and also what remedial action are taken. I thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Peterson. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, in the report, it says that with the accounting policies, there is no concerns. However, this is concerning to the PBI, as there are currently investigations into financial misconduct. We want to know if the policies has been updated to prevent this in future, or is this report just a rubber stamp? Then, according to the report, the committee looked at the lower capital expenditure. We noticed that the committee are satisfied with the reasons for non-performance and the remedial actions. We hope that this will show in the capital projects going forward for the current year, and that there will be a positive improvement. We also notice that risk management is a concern. We want to know if the position of the Chief Risk Officer has been filled, because this will help to mitigate risk if a dedicated person occupies this position. We hope that this report is not only for compliance issues, but to ensure that service delivery is actioned indoors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Mbeki. You have 1 minute, please.
Morning, Speaker. Speaker, mandibulele ingxelo ye-audit committee ithetha ukubana umsebenzi umhle ingangaboni izinto ezibangela uba into yobana ibe nee-concerns. Ewe, phaa naphaa kusazanywa. Siyayazi kuba soze wonke umntu oneliseke, kodwa ndithi enkosi kwii-officials, uDr Grant nomeya ngomsebenzi omhle owenzekayo.
Councillor, we can't hear you.
Speaker, ndithi enkosi kumasipala, enkosi kwi-audit committee ethe yabona chaphaza kwingxelo yayo. Siyabulela ngengxelo eyithumeleyo entle kangaka. Sibulela nomsebenzi owenziwa zii-officials. Sibulele u-MM, sibulele uDr Grant, enkosi. Ndiyayixhasa i-recommendation.
Thank you very much. Could we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to say thank you to the audit committee. Thank you to the officials. It shows that there's work that has been done. Obviously, we'll not be able to please everyone, but it shows that some work has been done. Thank you to the municipal manager, Dr. Grant, and thank you to all officials. So I second the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is therefore 11.6, the revised Audit Committee Charter 23-24. The first person to speak on this item is Alderman van Wyk. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, the item before Council here are revisions to the Audit Committee Charter, and these revisions relate to making provision for a minimum of 3 members of that committee, up to a maximum of 5 independent members, and then also for the audit committee to be able to meet not only in person but also by the virtual platform as required by them, and that will then also enable them to interact directly with one another to discuss specific agenda points and any general matters that they may need to discuss. And at the same time, there's also an amendment to allow for round-robin approvals to take place. So in other words, they can do that outside of a formal meeting. So these amendments have been included in the updated charter that is attached to the agenda, and therefore I'm proposing that we adopt the revised Audit Committee Charter for 23-24 and that then gets implemented. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Iesu. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, as the ANC, we take note of the proposed amendments to the Audit Committee Charter because it's important to facilitate and planning, performance and supervision of engagement. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Fichland. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I second the proposal made by Alderman Van Wyk.
Thank you very much. This item therefore carries. We'll move on to item 12, which is motions or proposals deferred from previous meetings. We have received none, and there are none. Item 13, new motions. We have received none. Item 14, matters at the discretion of the Speaker. I have been asked by the Executive Mayor to be permitted a opportunity to make an announcement for noting. Alderman Van Niekerk, you may go ahead. Sorry,
Thank
Alderman
you.
Van Wyk, sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, it is indeed a privilege for me to be able to make various announcements relating to 3 matters, being our partly on our delegation of councillors to the Garden Route District Municipality, and then also changes to the mayoral committee, and then also changes to committees of council. So firstly, it deals with that Alderman Kritzinger and Councillor Cronje are being replaced by Alderman Petrus and Councillor Fry on the Council of the Garden Route District Municipality with effect from 1 November 2023 in terms of item 23 of Schedule 2 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act number 117 of 1998. So that item is for noting. Then moving on to changes to the mayoral committee, and I'll deal with the various portfolios or committees in alphabetic order. First of all, the Civil and Engineering Services Capital Committee will be from 1 November, will be chaired by Councillor Johan Stander. And then the Community Services, Environment and Refuse Committee will, from 1 November, be chaired by Councillor Theresa Jay. The Community Safety Committee will be chaired by Councillor Maria Kruger. The Planning and Development Committee will be chaired by Councillor Jacqueline van Brandes, and the Human Settlements Committee will be chaired by Councillor Jean Seifers. So that relates to those appointments. I then move to the various committees, and in each case, I will just also read the chair of that committee. The Civil and Engineering Services Committee operating aspect, the chairperson is Councillor Johnson, and the vice chairperson will be Councillor Johan Stander in the place of Councillor van Brandes. The Civil and Engineering Services Committee, the Capital Projects and BFI, the chairperson will be Councillor Johan Stander, as mentioned, and Councillor van Brandes will then remain on that committee, and Councillor Philander replaces Councillor Smart on that committee. The Electro-Technical Services Committee remains as is, with Councillor Mbeti as chairperson. The Community Services, Refuse, Environment and Parks Committee, as stated, the chairperson will be Councillor Theresa Jay, and Councillor Fry then joins that committee, which means that Councillor Seifers will no longer serve on that committee. We move to the Community Services Committee dealing with social development, library, sport, customer care. The chairperson remains Councillor Brendan Adams, and Councillor Harney will replace Councillor Ito on that committee. At Community Safety Committee, Councillor Marie Kruger replaces Councillor Clark. Councillor Adams replaces Councillor Kruger. And those are the only changes to that committee. The Planning and Development Committee, which obviously includes building control, property IDP, performance management, economic development, agriculture and tourism. The chairperson on that committee is Councillor von Brandis, who replaces Councillor Dirk Wessels, who was the acting chairperson. However, Councillor Wessels remains as vice chairman of that committee. Then the Planning and Development Committee for Human Settlements will forthwith then be chaired by Councillor Jean Cyphers, who replaces Councillor Pietrus, and Councillor Clark then joins that committee. At Finance, the chairperson remains Councillor Dirk Wessels, and Councillor Kruger replaces Councillor Clark, and Councillor Simmers replaces Councillor Kampi, and Councillor Hani replaces Councillor Faith Mdaka. At the Corporate Services Committee, that committee remains as is under the chairmanship of Councillor Neetling. And I then move to the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, where Councillor Lose replaces Councillor Fry, and Councillor Katana replaces Councillor Kruger. At the Gypton Committee, the Impact Committee remains under the chairpersonship of Councillor De Toy, Johan De Toy, and the Gypton Committee remains under the chairpersonship of Councillor Gert Nias. And on the Gypton Committee, Councillor Eso replaces Councillor Mankele. So those complete the changes then on the committees. I want to thank all the councillors for their diligent service that they have provided on the various committees. And I wish to extend my congratulations and well wishes to all the councillors who are assuming new positions on each of these committees. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman, Executive Mayor. We therefore move on to the last item of the open ordinary council meeting, which is item 15, urgent matters by the municipal manager. Do you have any matters to deal with?
Morning, Speaker. Morning, everybody. No, I don't have any urgent matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that brings us to the end of the ordinary council meeting and the open council meeting. I'm going to ask that due to the fact, as I said earlier, that we have two late items in the confidential section of this meeting, that we adjourn the meeting until 11:15, which will then afford the parties a 15-minute interval for caucusing, and then we will resume at 11:15. We will also then cut the YouTube link, and we'll proceed with the confidential items at that time. Thank you very much. This meeting is now adjourned.
I don't know.